I was like, oh no, what's going on?
Somebody jumped in.
It's been crazy. I know. Caught me by my surprise. I just turned on the music and I was like, oh, someone came in. Wait. I need to make sure I can hear them.
Ready. You're like, I'm not ready. All right, let's see what cool background I get for this.
Oh yeah, Google's great. Oh.
Right?
Are these personalized ones?
It says professional.
Oh, okay. Wow, that one's pretty cool. Okay.
Let's see.
The homey feel
I
with
like
the plants.
Yeah. That might be more aligned. I have one for work that like has like the ocean in the back. Is cool because it looks like I'm at like the beach, and like I live on like a very tall like Miami.
Yes, I like that.
This is like the closest. All right, let me start all my AI shit.
Right. This is nice. This is really nice. I feel like it's been a long time.
It has.
Oh, I feel so bad. I was supposed to come to CyberJetsuCon, but we all know what happened. Got sick out of
I hope
nowhere.
you're feeling better.
Yeah, I'm feeling much better. Much better. Oh, hello, Hakeem. Oh,
Hello, how's everyone doing?
doing good. In a moment, I'm gonna give another blast on Discord.
Yeah, we'll start at 5. I feel like it usually 5 after is a good time to start everything.
Yeah, I just like to give a little reminder because in the past I just used to do one reminder and then folks would message me later like, well, how can you give multiple reminders? I'm like, okay, we'll do as many. It might be a little annoying for some people, but
Last
hey.
way. Hi, Carla.
Yep. Oh, hello, Carla.
Hi. Whoopsie.
There we go. Hi.
Awesome.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Welcome on. We're giving everybody about 5 minutes to come in just because.
Yep.
That's the tech life.
Yeah. It's always like that. Yeah, I think the last time Yessie and I were technically I came late to that event. It was the Open SSF, I think of it. Oh my goodness, what is the name called?
Yeah,
I'm having a blank. Yeah, I think
Open
it was
SSF,
that event.
Yeah, Open SSF DEI community office hours that we do.
Yeah,
the
that was pretty
next
cool.
one is next Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be talking about CFPs.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Tips and tricks on how to write your CFP, tips and tricks on like how to find conferences, things like that.
Are we going to talk about that today a little bit? I don't know if you're going to talk about that.
For CFPs, no, it's not on the agenda, but
it's okay. I'll message you
definitely
later then.
I'll give a shout out for that one talk, and then it's also on the Lioness Instincts event page.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on there. Cool.
Okay.
But it is going to be the program committee for OpenSSF.
Okay.
That's the link to that.
Okay.
That's for next week's OpenSSF DEI office hours. We're going to be talking about applying for CFPs. It's going to kind of be like an Ask Me Anything to program committee members. Off topic of what's today, but
yeah, definitely off topic. I just had to ask because I'm trying to do more speaker events. I got rejected recently from Medium, but it wasn't because my talk was bad or anything like that. It was just because there was over 700 applications.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, that is a lot, and it's one mini online conference. So I was like, okay, like you win some, you lose some. That's fine.
Yeah. Hey, Priscilla.
Hi, Priscilla.
Hello, how are y'all?
Good.
Welcome. Okay,
Thank you.
cool. No worries.
Yeah. It's a chill session today for folks who don't know. These are very chill conversations that we have in the, I guess you call it what, the ATC community, anti-tech cafe community,
Yes.
or anti-tech club for some. Somebody's in the same thing.
Trying to put out a poll real quick. I forgot what my bullets were. There we go. And there we go, digital portfolio.
I think folks know today that this session will be recorded. So if you don't want your face to be on camera for like YouTube, you can turn your camera off. If you don't want to even speak, you can type in the chat and we can do it that way. Other than that, if you're cool with it, then we'll be on YouTube. On our community YouTube channel, it's literally Anti-Tech Cafe, I think, with some numbers. Long story short, I went back to YouTube, but now it's more community, so less burnout on my end.
Yeah, so I shared out a poll just to help kind of focus where everybody wants to kind of focus on today. We have about an hour and a half. But
okay,
I have a deck.
Google.
Yeah, on the Google chat there. Go ahead and submit your responses. It's just going to help me kind of set the stage of today where I focus more time on. It's the same slide deck for those that were in CyberJitsuCon. I think only one, I remember one amazing face that was there. And then with that, we'll kick it off. We'll do a little bit of everything, but I just want to see where we focus most of the time on. Or you're coming in, go ahead and do that. Okay, Carla's flexible.
Same.
Okay, and then I need some kind of tiebreaker because it's between resume writing and
Flexible too.
Oh, it's
the
on
poll.
the right next to the chat with everyone. It's on the bottom right. Yeah, it's bottom right.
Yeah, feel free to go off camera.
Yeah. I really had my Pringles chips today and water, so you can.
I don't remember what I ate, so today. So
Yeah, see.
I got water. I got water.
Okay. At least you got water.
Yeah, I got water.
Cool.
We got resume writing, job hunting. Those two are kind of tied together, so that's awesome. We are at the 5. Angie, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your tech community and the Discord, what you got going on for folks that may not be on it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll just do a little shout out real quick and then I'll pass it on to you. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to today's monthly coffee community tea chat. So our fantastic speaker today is Yessie, and the topic is career development workshop. And the session will be recorded for those who cannot make it today. And I will now pass this on to her.
Perfect. Yes, thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to share, I'm going to get to the right slide and I'm going to share my screen and then share a link. Give me a second while I get all that ready.
Yeah.
I should have done that before I started talking, but it's okay. Here we are.
It's all good. I could edit this part later.
It's true.
That's the beauty of recording.
So I'll share the link in the chat. This is where you can get the slides. The slides, you know, some folks like the slides. They're mostly pictures, and then I talk through it with the folks on the call. Let me know if that link does not work for you. Okay, it worked for me. So we should be good. And that's where you can get the slides. What happened?
Oh, it works for me too.
Okay, cool. So once again, for those that were at CyberJitsuCon, it's the same slide deck. Just going to take focus into a specific area. We are going to cover all of the stuff that was on the poll, but we're just going to do some of it a little bit less time just because of the restriction. But this is my digital portfolio framework, and it's assisted not only myself, but other folks into getting Microsoft, Red Hat, Disney, I don't want to say CloudStrike right now, but CloudStrike, and other various of organizations from this. And I really believe it's more of just being a visionary of your own desires and then letting the world know that and pursuing this outside in a certain way. This is mostly for focused on cybersecurity and like tech area. So cyber tech is usually what I call it, and learning ways to get into it. It does work with software engineers based roles, but outside of tech, I would say test it, but I'm not sure. I haven't had any case studies with it. But I think it's a smart way to kind of showcase your skills for roles that you want to get that you may not have the professional experience to get yet. So a little bit about me. I go by the code name Cyberhood Theta. I've had about 12 years in cybersecurity doing various positions. Started in InfoSec, have a bachelor's in computer science, master's in digital forensics, and spent most of my career in the application security space. I am a proud servant of 5 fur babies, and I've been training and teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 6 years. And this is kind of where the blend of my nonprofit, the Lioness Instincts, come in. I'll talk about that in a bit. So right now I'm at Microsoft as a senior security program manager, working on open source and AI security. Purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, teaching and training for 6 years, and then co-founded the Lioness Instincts. Considered an international speaker. I've spoken in Canada, Europe, all over the US, and I'm hoping to make Asia this year, but we'll see. Traveled around the world to speak and just out of passion. I love Legos and building Legos, and I am a fan of the ground. I did skydiving earlier this year, and as you can see from the top right, I guess, of the screen, depending on how you have this displayed, I did skydiving this year, and it's checked off the list. But I don't know if I'll do it again. It's terrifying. You can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram. LinkedIn by my name, and then Instagram by either the nonprofit, the Lioness Instincts, or by the Cyberhood Theta. And just from that, I want you to know that sometimes you have to be the first one to jump out of the plane and do these things. When I started my career, I feel like this is a wheel that's shared so many times, but I was typically the only female in the room, the only one in the classroom, and for me, I considered it a superpower. So being the first one and being the one to represent this space has been an honor, and that's why I jumped out of the plane first, because I was terrified and I never wanted to do it. So now I just remind myself that sometimes you just have to be the first one that jumps. As far as the nonprofit and how to get access to me, some of the things that I'll be talking today are in various blogs. You can find them on my blog page under the Cyberhood Theta chat website, or the Medium under Cyberhood Theta. You can see upcoming events on our schedule page, and then you can get added to the mailing list. And I send out newsletters once a month with events happening with digital privacy, career, and then self-defense, mostly within the US or virtual events. And then I do offer career development one-on-ones. I have not yet started our group weekly cohort, but it is something that has been on the back of my mind to start. See if we can get that rolling. And then for Cyberhood, that I do have a podcast. It's not very active, but if I keep giving these enough, I will get motivated to bring it back. So we'll see. All right, right in the chat, or if you want to come off and chat, I want to discuss what's the key factor that differentiates those who succeed in pursuing their dreams from those who give up their dreams. And then we have a question. So the weekly cohort, I haven't started yet. If you want to get added to the mailing list, and then once it starts, we can kick it off. It was going to start early this month, but I've been going through some personal things, so I was looking at moving it maybe into September. So just right now, just join the mailing list, and I'll keep you in mind for that one. Okay, persistent is a key factor. Motivation, goal-oriented. Okay. Angie, what about you? What do you say?
Yeah, I think those were some of the same things I was gonna say as well. What else? Being fearless, really. I think, not being afraid. If, for example, you feel like it's gonna fail, but you never know unless you try. So just put yourself out there.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, for me, the words that came up for me were confidence, right? Usually the one that's very confident in what they're pursuing. You can see this in your classmates, in your coworkers, in our presidents that are, going into office and debating. You can tell just the first thing that usually comes off is that confidence level. Like, how confidence do they feel about it? Not turning into political talk, but that's usually the top of mind in everyone right now. But just that confidence in yourself, that confidence to be aligned in what you're working on. And this might be more of a marketing thing, but your own personal branding, like people that look at me and they see me and the things that I put out there. One of the common things that they say is like, oh, you're very confident. Internally, I'm not, but you see this because of my fearlessness to go ahead and pursue these dreams. So one thing I noticed in an ex-boyfriend was that they used to be able to walk into an office for the first time and just come out with a job offer. I always thought this was interesting because at that time, he didn't have experience. He was going into the vet industry for the first time. He didn't have any experience. All he did was take a bunch of classes online. He didn't finish the online program. Um, what he did was, it's a little bit difficult to do this in the tech industry, but he called a bunch of vet offices, asked who was hiring, and then ended up showing up to the vet office for an interview. He didn't apply. He didn't go at this time. He just kind of showed up early in the morning before things kind of started, and went and talked to them. The first vet office that he walked into, he walked out with a job that he started the next week. And I was always very confused. I'm like, how did he do this? Like, this man doesn't have the credentials. He just walked in and came out with a job. I'm like, mind blown by this, right? Because I'm here struggling to move out of mine, can't figure out like how to pass the interviews. And he would always say he had three things. It was charisma, confidence, and courage, which calls into the fearlessness, the desire for folks to, want to be in your presence, and then the confidence. So I watched him over the years and just kind of digest. And while he did have a sales background, I just studied this, and I studied this and made it into a framework that landed me my first role out of my first big company, which was my role at Red Hat. And since then, I've tweaked this framework for myself, for the new roles, and to bring in the new technology like AI. And with that, just into consideration, visualization is Aladdin's lamp to him. Wow. Visualizing is Aladdin's lamp to him with a mighty will. So I took this quote out of The Invisible Power by Genevieve. I thought that was such a powerful quote. You have Aladdin's lamp in your possession, and that's your own internal like desire to wish and dream. And all it really takes is that visualization and that focus into that visualization every day to continue. Before we get into it, these are 4 books on the perspective of women. I know we have some gentlemen on the call, or I'm assuming their gender. I'm assuming everyone's gender by those statements, so I do apologize. But these were great books for me in learning confidence in myself. Playing Big was like a book being read to me as if my big sister was talking to me, and this one I got a lot out of. Confidence Code I got a lot out of as well. These are short stories. So this one's great if you're starting into like the corporate office and you're like, okay, I've been put in this weird position. What do I do? And you have like a chapter focused on that. That'll give you an idea of mistakes that folks have done so you can learn from those mistakes. And then she gives you these great steps for just yourself and future relationships, tips that you can also take, how to love yourself, how to love others without losing yourself. Great tips also for jobs, because one thing that people don't realize is while we're working at a corporation and we're throwing so many hours into it, we are still losing ourselves the same way as we would lose ourselves in a relationship. So it's something to think about that we don't think about. Okay, the Lioness Instincts. Our mission is to empower women to protect themselves in the physical and digital worlds. We use the principles of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and cybersecurity, in which we enlighten the huntress in all of us, and we engage in threat assessment with mitigation tactics for both physical and digital. We are a physically sponsored nonprofit by Hack Club Bank. And then these are some of our socials and way to connect: our website, our email. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And our vision is to awaken the endurement warrior spirit that's within all of us. Ways that we give back is self-defense classes. These are within the US. So local to South Florida, we host every first and last Saturday a self-defense class. I'll be flying to Austin in September for a week-long women's self-defense Women Weekend Warrior, where I'll have like holistic information on nutrition and performance, digital privacy and such. Digital privacy, this one is more of going to be resources and content and information that we're going to be sharing out. We have a digital privacy volunteer group that meets every 2 weeks. And our goal is to just bring out education and teach as much as we can and share this with the community. We do have a workshop. It was only given once, but it will be given again now in Austin. Career development. This is the workshops and slide for it. And then for future, we're looking to connect and partner with folks to help us with career development. We are connected with 2 recruiting services. And then I'm looking for partners that we can share and refer to for financial health. And this is like fixing your credit or just understanding finances. Once again, more ways to get in touch with us. The website, you can learn what events are coming up, once it's ready, the career cohort. We have some swag, welcome to donate, and then join the mailing list. All right, so going into the nitty gritty, why are we here? You know, there's an increase of cyber attacks just from 2023, and some of the numbers you can see just an increase on ransomware, website hacking, just attacks overall. We've seen this in the last month with all the news on Microsoft, CloudStrike, and so forth. And fortunately for us, that means an increase of roles that need to be created to overcome some of these gaps. So this is just more technical information. This is on the slides from 2020, which I know this number has increased, but there was over 1 million jobs unfilled. And we're seeing the same affecting places like in Europe and the UK. All right, so today we're going to get into, yes, if you'd love to be part of it, just send me an email on info@thelionessinstincts.com, and I'll add you to the group and get you started there. We're meeting next Thursday around this time, so like at 6 p.m. Eastern is what we meet. High level, this is usually what I flow through. We're going to go through the elevator pitch fairly quickly, and I'll give you some activities for you to do this after, and then you're welcome to reach out to me later. That would be part of your homework, is to send me your updated elevator pitch, and we'll get into the elevator pitch soon. I'll talk about what the digital portfolio framework is and how it flows. I'll dive into this a little bit more in depth today, spend some time here. And then because of the poll, we'll spend most of our majority of the time within job hunting and resume tips. So I'm looking about 10 to 15 minutes within this. And by the top of the hour, get started with the resume and job hunting. And then I'll share some of this just for resources after. All right. So your elevator pitch. Can anybody either chat or on voice explain to me what you think I mean by elevator pitch? Brief summary of me.
Yeah, kind of your quick sales pitch, telling who you are, what you're into, things of that nature, but keep it pretty short. But it allows the person you're interviewing with to really grasp who you are, how you might start to fit in that position, and sometimes it does help carry the interview once they know your sales pitch, or sorry, your elevator pitch.
I like that you call it a sales pitch. It's actually a sales pitch, but we want to be nice in the
Yeah.
interviews and not put that pressure.
That's true.
Quick 30 seconds to a minute of who I am and what I do. Yes. The time constraint is very important. I, for one, have ADHD, and for those that I've interviewed, I've always felt bad because after a minute, I just don't know. I have to be like, "Hey, pay attention. Hey, pay attention." So the elevator pitch is just that. It's a brief summary review, quick 30 seconds, your sales pitch of how you fit. But the most important thing of this is what Carla said. It's a summary of you. And a lot of times when I hear elevator pitches, one, they give me this long, derailed like explanation of their career, and they leave out the most important person, which is themselves. So I don't know who they are, but I hear what they've done. Based on the industry, based on your audience, I would say to share what you can. And then with the 30 seconds to a minute, one thing that I've learned to take into my elevator pitch is be mysterious. It's one of the biggest things because you want your elevator pitch to lead to more questions and not the questions that they've already had established before the meeting. This is the best way for you to kind of take control of the conversation, and the pace is your elevator pitch. And that's what sales individuals do with their sales pitch, which is why I'm so happy. Hakeem, I think I said it correctly, mentions. So you can go ahead and type it out. Open up a document, whatever document, and just quickly write you're about to interview for your dream job. What are you going to say? I'll put a timer. I'll put 2.5 minutes. I got the timer running, but just type it out.
And for those who are watching, they can actually participate in it too. So
Yes. If you're watching, just pause this and write it and then come back.
that's right. The beauty of recording.
Yeah. That scared me. All right. My timer went off. Okay, nobody heard that.
No. Maybe because it was on your computer.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if anybody knows I jumped. All right, so
All good. All good.
now, what's my next slides? I should have looked at that instead of my phone. Okay. One thing I want to tell folks, and I know it's really, really difficult to wrap your mind around this, is a job is easily replaceable as you are. You can find a new job anyway. For those that are in the US, Canada, or Europe, I'm just going to say there are so many different opportunities and ways to make income or revenue, that I don't want folks to get so harped on like this one job, or the fact like we are in a layoff season for the last couple years, unfortunately, and it does mean that we're all at risk. I'm at risk, everyone's at risk. So one of the things that I thought of was like, how do the in tech, how do the bros do it? They have their confidence, they have their uniqueness, but how can I leverage the digital algorithm? Like, how do I take the perfect matrix pill and open the door to see what's there? And it starts with the elevator pitch. There's not just what you write, but the body language that you use when you present it, the language that you use when you present it, the tone of voice when you do it. There's a difference between, hey, I'm Jasenia, I applied for this job, like I got laid off a couple months ago, and yeah, I'm just here trying to find a job, versus I'm Jasenia, I found this job, I think it's so great, I've been here, I've been in cyber for 12 years, and I see that the company is trying to do XYZ, and from my skills doing ABC, this is how I can come in, right? Those are two different types of elevator pitch or quick intros that we want to take into consideration. Of course, your overall presentation. Like, I wouldn't sit at a job interview on the way that I am now. I'm in a spaghetti shirt. It's Florida. It's too hot right now. It's summer. And I'm chatting with you guys. It's going to end up on YouTube, whatnot. But something to think about, right? You're not going to, the way you present yourself in interviews, show up. You want to show up your best self for these calls. All right. So we did this. Now, there's another part to this. No. Go back, sorry. I want you to look at, and this is your homework assignment, or your assignment later, is to look at your elevator pitch and determine, did your best self write it? Are there any words that are reducing your power, such as just, I think, I did this, but I don't have this experience. I'm an aspiring cybersecurity enthusiast. Those are all great, but you're going to come in from the position that you are already that person. There was something that I heard the other day, and I think it was Cody Sanchez that said it was, you're not faking it till you're making it. You're figuring out who your best self is, figuring out what they need to do, and you're just doing the things you have to do for your best self every day until you are your best self. And then that changes, and now you have a new set of criteria to meet. So when you go into these interviews and you give your elevator pitch, look at the words that are diminishing your power, highlight them, and then come back after a while and rewrite it as your best self. And then how do you do that, right? For you, think about what characteristics does your higher self have, and you don't have to use this. We're going to go through this quickly, but think about what your higher self characteristics your higher self has. I love Rihanna. Her and I think we share a birthday. So I usually think of what Rihanna would do. How is Rihanna going to come in and take over this meeting? How is Rihanna going to come in and land this job? And I take those qualities and those characteristics and I embed them into myself. The other things I think about are what my non-negotiables are. because I can come in as much as I want and be Rihanna and wear my crown. But if the job is not open to what my non-negotiables are, there's no point in me wasting my time. So think about what your non-negotiables are as well. And this is something that if you're speaking to the recruiter from the first time, at the end of my elevator pitch or my sales pitch, I like to mention that, hey, these are my non-negotiables, because now you're not wasting anybody's time. You're going straight into the thing. When I was getting the job for Red Hat, one of my biggest things was I was teaching kids. So with that, and I had to sign off. Excuse me. I had to sign off between 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, and then go to the class that started at 4 or 5. And then after kids class, I would train. I would come home, and then I would continue working. Not a lot of people were open or flexible to that. So when they came in and they weren't flexible to me adjusting to go teach kids and train myself, even though I was going to wake up early and do all the work, or I was going to come in later to do all the work, for me, that was a red flag. And for me, I was like, no, I'm good. I'm looking for flexible schedule. So think about what that is. And when you get into those conversations, you're going to go through so many people and so many positions, because you're going to start identifying not all these fit. Now, there's non-negotiables that you can be harp about, and then there's non-negotiables that you can negotiate about. I know it sounds kind of contradictory, but for example, you are taking and you have the opportunity to work as a SOC engineer, but it's going to require you to work late night shifts. So 12 at night, or, let's say 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning, or whatever kind of shift. If they're only hiring for that shift and that time, you may not be able to negotiate your time zones. You may be able to start the position and then try to move. But that's something for you to take into consideration based on your time. But I want you to have your non-negotiables, and then the things that you are flexible, as contradictory as it sounds, in your non-negotiables. And then, of course, add what makes you unique. So a lot of times I get these elevator sales pitch that they go into all of their credentials, and I'm like, okay, cool. Who are you? What do you do for fun? How do you react when things go bad? How do you talk to other people? Can you resolve conflict? Can you deal with stress? And for me, when I give my elevator pitch to recruiters, I talk about the fact that I teach and train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've taught kids, I teach adults, and it helps me kind of explain that, like, I can teach technical things to non-technical individuals and train them and see their growth in those paths. So something to think about. We're skipping this. Here in the workshop, we usually do the elevator pitch again with your new self. And then normally I do it out loud, but we're going to go through this quickly. Visualization is one of my favorite techniques. And I usually have an index card. I actually have to update mine, but I usually have like an index card, right? And here I'll write whatever it is. These are my AI notes, so it's not really my vision card. I had to update my vision card, so I have to redo it. But I'll take an index card, put vision card, and then in the back, I always start with, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and I'll write what it is. I have landed a row at a major tech company, yada, 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 doing XYZ, making this amount of salary with this much package. And you can make one, you can multiple copies of it. It's usually recommended to keep one with you. I like to put mine in my bathroom. So early in the morning, as I wake up and brush my teeth, I read it. And late at night, as I prepare for bed, I read it. And it keeps that image in your head and that visualization. That's a little assignment or thing to do at home if you want. And you can do this for everything, for your career, yourself. It's just something I recommend. Cool. All right, digital portfolio. So back in the day, young me really wanted to be a chef and work at a 5-star restaurant. So I'm from Miami, and these are two areas and two food places that one I really enjoy and another I haven't gone yet. But if I wanted to be a chef at a 5-star restaurant, what would my portfolio look like? Which of these plates would you see more of on my portfolio? And you can do chat, you can come in and talk.
This is for the chef, the right.
The gecko,
Yeah, the gecko.
this one.
Yep.
Yeah, so Gecko's actually restaurant I think is ran by Bad Bunny. Why?
Mm, let me see what other folks have said before I start going.
Fancy
Fancy
looking,
looking. Oh, okay. Jinx.
presented more.
Yeah, other ones, yeah.
The other one's fast
food.
food, presented more luxury. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's 5-star, people are more willing to spend money on things like sushi or other fancy dishes as opposed to the one on the left.
Yep. While the one on the left can fill a whole family of 3, the one on the
That's
right
true.
is the one on the right. It does have more of that luxury appeal. So I will make sure that when I present myself for that 5-star restaurant, I am presenting these luxury meals. And you can do the same thing with your software. You're like, how? And this is how. All right, the digital portfolio framework. It's in 5 steps. I do have to update more than likely probably have to update this, but in 5 steps. So you identify your content medium. What are folks' thoughts on what a content medium is? For not a chef, but for an engineer or somebody that's trying to go into cyber. Or your audience is? Can you be a little bit more specific? Like which? Yeah, blog.
Yeah, post.
Yep. Social media platform. Yep. All right. So think of an artist, right? An artist chooses the ways they want to display their work. This is like structures or wood, metal, canvases. What are mediums that a social engineer, not social engineer, a software engineer, a social engineer, and a cybersecurity professional could be using to display their knowledge? We said blogs, we said social media platforms. What else? Yes.
Yeah, GitHub.
Videos.
I've seen a lot of LinkedIn blogs too.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, so these are perfect. So Medium blogs are LinkedIn blogs, your own website, and just posting blogs, like figuring out the type of way that you want to present your data, whether it's videos, whether it's a blog, or whether it's social posting. Then the next, you gotta come in with your higher self in mind, and whatever medium you use, find the platform for it and create the online portfolio, right? So if you go to a LinkedIn page, are you going to see, let's say you want to be a security engineer. If I go to your LinkedIn page right now, is it going to reflect a security engineer? Does it say that you're an engineer? Are you presenting yourself in that manner in any shape or form? So when you do design or update your online content profiles, take that into consideration for what your assignment was, right? Your assignment was, let me know what characteristics your higher self is. Take those characteristics and put it into social media. We'll go into this in when we do LinkedIn in a bit. Now, once you've gotten how you want to do it, so let's say we're going to write blogs and we're going to have blogs on our LinkedIn. I want to identify a project that I will align with what I want to do. So if I want to work on AI, I'm going to start finding projects that I can start contributing in some form or fashion. And now you might say, okay, but how am I just creating something and there's nobody out there doing stuff. There is. You can find open source communities, and I'll share some open source communities later in the slides. And if you have the slides, you can go. Yeah, you're welcome. Enjoy. You can watch at the end. I have a slide for different open source communities, but you can even go on those open source communities and ask for specific projects for the things you want and ask for ways that you can contribute. Once you have 1 through 3, there's understanding the social media platform. So LinkedIn works a certain way. It likes some things, it doesn't like some things. So Instagram, so forth. So really understanding what that social media platform is, what your audience likes, what they do. That goes into more marketing. But right now for social media and LinkedIn, I just recommend connecting as many people and posting whatever you can. And then there's content creation, right? And this is just you creating the content medium that you set. So going through this framework, let's say we're going to write blogs. We're going to post them on LinkedIn. We're going to be talking about AI. And I understand that LinkedIn does not like links when you originally post it. LinkedIn does better when you tag a bunch of people and you have not a lot of hashtags, but a good set amount. So I'll go ahead, write my blog, have that published, maybe have a few friends skim through it just for grammar errors. I'm known for grammar errors. Then I'll create a post. I'll use ChatGPT to give me a template. I'll personalize that template. And then if I'm using LinkedIn articles, I'll have the LinkedIn article attached to the content. If I'm using an external blog, I will not link it. I will mention it and then link it as a comment. Because LinkedIn, I don't know if they've changed this, but from my current understanding, I'm not a LinkedIn professional. If you go ahead and post a comment or post something with a link, they actually deduct the weight of it. So less people get to see it. And then I'll post it. And I'll do this maybe weekly. If you're not sure what project to work on, or you are on this project and you're like, oh my God, I've just been failing on all this. I don't know what to write about. This feels stupid. Stick to 4 questions. And this is questions that we usually ask in like a software engineer stand-up. And it's, what did I do this week? What challenges did I face? What challenges did I overcome, or what risks are available or there? And then what are my next steps? Very 4 basic questions that you can ask, put in a content. And even if you're not working on a specific project, let's say you're going through a course, you can do a weekly like stand-up thought process, ask yourself some questions and answer some questions about what you've learned. Apologies, give me a second. My dogs are going crazy. And then here's a link, the URL for a blog that I wrote a few years ago on this process, how to get started. And it has a little bit more details, including the digital portfolio framework, excuse me, the breakdown of these 5 bullets, and then 2 additional articles on the different roles within cybersecurity and what that maze looks like. So from your blue team, your red team, your purple team, and all these various colors, and InfoSec and application security and what all this calls, gives you a little bit more insight into that. So what are 2 to 4? Carla, can you expand on your question? What were 2 through 4? As far as my example? Oh, so first question is, what did I get done this week? What did I do this week? What challenges was I faced with? Like if you was studying, maybe, you know, due to personal reasons, I was only able to study, instead of my 4 hours, I studied 1 hour. I couldn't get the environment working. Like what things kind of held you back? What gaps or risks? So it's like, okay, because of the challenges, I now had to push my certification date X amount of weeks because I'm behind the schedule. You know, I'm not fully understanding the difference between an AI model and an AI this. So that's would be that. And then the 4th question is, what are my next steps? Next steps will be to go back to module 3, where it talks about the differences between these two pieces, take additional note, and maybe find YouTube videos to help uncover this. And question 1, what did I learn, should probably be your biggest section, where you kind of just brain dump what you did and then, make it easy and nice. Let me know if that answered, Carla. I'm sure you're taking notes. Okay,
That's
cool.
good to take notes. This is valuable information.
Yeah, I do have transcripts on, so there will be AI transcripts that come out after this as well, so you can take advantage of that. And then types of profiles, you have your written content. Those are articles, blogs, your LinkedIn newsletters. LinkedIn newsletters, from the last I heard, get a lot of visibility. So even if you do a newsletter that just points to all your, like, you do one for August and it points to all your blogs from August, and it's like a big overview of what you learned. That's cool. The more you can keep in LinkedIn or redirect in LinkedIn, the better, because that's where recruiters are going to come. Video content, so you have your streaming channels, Twitch. I've seen some developers use Twitch as they write code and build things, and that's been popular. YouTube, making tutorials, trainings, and stuff like that. You have websites. You can make your own personal website, LinkedIn, and then for source code, GitHub pages also falls under website, but you can have a GitHub repo and then have a GitHub page that you kind of use as your primary. There's GitLab, and then there's, the cloud platforms allows you to do things. All right, cool. I think this was one of the biggest, yes, job hunting. Job hunting and
Yep.
resume writing are tied inside. Cool. Okay, so time to search for your dream job. Does everybody know? You can just write on the chat, yes or no. Does everybody know what role they want?
Yes.
Okay, 2 yeses. Okay. If you don't know what your row is, this might help you search for additional rows and figure out what you want. If you do, this is going to help you drill down. Now, who here has heard of Google Dorks? And you can also use the reaction. Okay, I'm covering the reaction. That's what it was. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, sad faces, no. Okay, cool. So these are some Google Dorks that I've personally have enjoyed using, that I've used when I've done and searched for jobs. So I will go on LinkedIn, but the majority of the jobs that I'll search for, I will use a Google Dork to drill them down. Now, the issue with, ooh, what just happened? Okay. The issue with this example, right, before we go ahead and start using it, is it will give you everything under the sun. So I definitely recommend putting a before and after. And when you use this Google Dork, go ahead and set it within the last month or so. So you're going to look on the site LinkedIn using look for anybody that has the hashtag hiring, right? And this hashtag could be under their picture as a banner. It could just be the hashtag that they put on a post. You're going to put the row that you want. And the rest would be just more specifics. You might want to change Python to remote. You might want to set a specific language you want, a cloud environment you want. And then just make sure you go ahead and drill it into a time zone. So I'm going to give everybody about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go ahead and just do that activity. Those are links. I just literally Googled Google Dorks cheat sheets, and those were the top 2 that I found. So if you don't want to type those down, just search it yourself, and you should be able to find those. Go ahead, and then if you have any troubles, just come back here either on the chat or voice or reaction. Let me know. Yeah, so there we go. Hi. So if you're just joining, no worries. This is being recorded. And right now we're going to be spending the next 2 minutes looking for our dream rows. We're going to be using the Google Dork example right here, site, LinkedIn, hiring. You're going to change the next term to whatever your dream row is. And then anything after that would be more specifics of what you want. That's whether you want it to be remote, what language you want to set, what cloud environment you specifically want. Nice. I would just expand out on GRC. Make sure you just write governance, risk, and compliance. You could probably even do a GRC analyst, just so you get something a little bit more specific in case some other industry uses GRC. And then make sure that at the end, unless you want everything under the sun, to set the before and after dates so that you could get recent postings. Because I've done this and it's like 3 years ago. Someone was looking for an architect and I was like, oh, so close. If only it was yesterday. Ooh, very good question. So for the recording, in case you're not sure what the question says, if you've had to choose between a dream role or working for an industry you've always dreamed of, however, it's not in the ideal role, how do you make the right decision? Is it better to get your foot in the door with less than ideal role or take the dream role but not the most ideal place? So I love this question. You're going to hate my next answer, but that's totally up to you. If someone was to tell me that Lego is looking for a janitor, I would go apply. And they have no security roles, I would apply, right? If it's a foot in the door, I know for sure, and that's probably a terrible example, but if Legos, I love Legos. If Legos had a security analyst role and I can afford the salary changes from my current role to that, I would take it. But I would make sure that in my interview and in my conversations with the hiring manager, they understand that what my next move is, whether it's in that company or not. There's two different things here that you brought up, Priscilla, and this is great because there's the dream role and then there's dream company. And ideally, we want the dream role in the dream company, but the percentage of that being realistic, there's no statistics or science behind what I'm about to say, seems very small. I make the best out of everything. So just the fact that I get to play in a new field or a new space is always exciting for me. So it depends. I'm not too much sure of what your situation is there. But if you can get not an ideal role, doing something that's going to help you move towards the dream role in your dream company, I'll take it. Especially if I don't see my dream role in the industry. Right now, most folks are hiring for GRC, engineers. I see them more in the technical space and maybe program manager space than anything else. So something to think about. Think about what the market is for your dream role. And if your non-negotiables align with the ideal role. If you're starting in the industry and let's say you want to work in security, you want to be an ethical hacker, but right now they only have a security analyst at your dream company because they don't really hire any red team individuals that's common in the industry, then I would say take it, make friends with the folks in the red team, and social engineer or build out the relationships with them so that once a position becomes available or there's money in the budget, they can move you over. Hopefully that was a good rant for you. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, Do we need more time on the Google Docs? Is there any questions on the Google Docs or any questions at all? We can turn this into an Ask Me Anything. I'm here to really serve. All right.
Not on my end. Yeah, I think this is really great advice, especially for those who are either in the field right now or trying to get in the field, because the times have changed
Yeah.
over the last few years for job hunting. So this is really great. And Google
Yeah,
Docs are it's a good skill anyways to know. So
especially as a security professional.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
So as you're going through the results, you're probably going to get links to like LinkedIn. I would just slowly go ahead and collect those. Collect the links to the job descriptions for those, and you'll see why in a bit. All right, we're going to pull out keywords now. Where is, I dropped it down. There it is, keywords. So from the Google Dork search that you did, I want you to go ahead and pull about 5 job descriptions. You can do 2 to 3 for right now, if anything. But if you're watching the recording or if you're doing this activity later, I usually recommend to get about 10 to 15 jobs. And I want the job link, right? Not just the full job description to copy paste, the job link. We're going to take those and with whatever Gen AI tool you use, and I'm going to use ChatGPT for this example, go into ChatGPT, and I have a prompt somewhere that I'm trying to find in the background. No. I'll just pull up chat. I broke there. Go into ChatGPT and just ask it questions. So I'm going to switch screens to this side. And then I'm going to just do a quick LinkedIn quick search. I'm going to share this tab so you see what I'm doing. I'm going to open that into a new tab. Okay, I'm going to come back to ChatGPT. Did I do it before? I did do this before, but I don't remember. Okay, I'll do it later. Go in here and ask Chat, and you can change your prompt however you want. And then let me make this bigger. Using the links below as an ATS hiring system, extract the top 15 technical skills and top 10 soft skills as it relates to a principal AI security engineer. And then I'll come grab the links. All right. Okay, and then now ChatGPT is going to go ahead and pull out the top technical skills. You see that I went, said this and that. Now I ask it to regenerate and to provide more specific technical tooling, languages, and other keywords that can be translated principal AI security engineer. Well, now you have a better landscape of what this row is going to incorporate. Even though some of these, it looks like it's pulling like every word known to man for that specific, but these are pulling keywords out from the job description. Now it's up to you to go through this and pull this aside and figure out two things. And then I'm going to share right back out. Where is share this tab? You're going to take that list and you're going to pull out your strengths and your stories, your strengths, which are your stories, and your study, which are your content plan. So it could be a for your strengths stories piece. So out of that list, close all this because I get distracted very easily. So out of the list on the top, it said machine learning and AI, right? And we're just going to say PyTorch. PyTorch is not something I've ever used. I've heard of it, but I haven't used it. So I'm going to put that into my list for study content. You're going to go through and kind of separate the two. Now, going down to program languages, excuse me, I have the strongest in Python. That's mainly the language that I've used. So I want to make sure that the next rows that I look for, if I want to stick to that language, are more focused on Python. So Python is going to come under my strengths. And what I'm going to do is under the term Python, I'm going to come up with various of stories of ways that I've used this, especially in the open source, so that it's something I can link back to. And then kind of go through the list and do the same thing for the majority of it. I'm not asking you to sit here and go through this entirely because you're going to get a lot of content, especially depending on how you do your prompt for your ChatGPT or Gen AI. And of course, whichever position. But this list is going to start you on two paths. Something that you can start sharing on your LinkedIn, on your profiles as a strength of something you've done before with a story attached to it. And then things that now you have to figure out the best path of creating content and or studying for. Any questions on that?
Looks
Okay.
like no
I see
questions.
no
I think it was very straightforward.
Cool. We do this for all or most. I would say most. If you have a lot of job descriptions and if you saw like, let me share this tab, like you see this one, like this is just an outrageous number of skills. So I would go through this list and pull the technology. You can also change the prompt, regenerate with only the top 10 specific technical tooling as it relates to the job description links sent. You can always figure out a way, like a prompt to help reduce it. And then you can see here that based on those, for both Principal AI Security Engineer and the job links, these are the top 10 technologies that have been mentioned across. So I usually ask for the full list and then I ask for a reduced list. That way I can get two different visuals. But if you have this long list, you're going to spend forever on this activity. And that's not what I want. Good question. Okay. One thing that I've seen people not do is assess the company. We get all very excited of like the role. I understand folks' financial reasons. We all have our reasons to get a job and get it quickly. But one thing that I want you to think about is assessing the company. Do they align with your non-negotiables? Do they align with your salary range? Do they align with your location? And are you willing to compromise on any of those? Second, look at the reviews from employees and customers for that company. It says a lot about the company, especially on the customer reviews. And if it's a startup, you may not get many of these, but if it's a startup and they have bad customer reviews, it already kind of tells you about the culture of the company, right? Look at recent news from security breaches, exploits, just security news. I usually put company security news or security breaches or security exploits, and you got hacker news and all this stuff. The other two that people don't really look at, I've failed to look at them as well, but finances. How is this company doing? Are they IPO? Are they on the stock market? What was their latest financial either news? Did some article come out about them recently that I should be aware of that might change my decision to be with them? Or something that I could bring up to the company is like, hey, I saw that you guys were fined for, let's say, the recent data breach of all the SSNs for everybody in the world, or not the world, the US, right? Like, what is going to be the financial implementation of that? What's going to be the legal? Is there any news around that? Would you want to work for a company that recently was hacked, and released all this, and now are being fined millions of dollars because of the incident? The company's mission and vision. These are very important, especially when you do your resume and you start speaking to that company while you're doing the job interviews, because you want to align, you want to be aligned with what they do, and you want to make sure that what they do are aligned with you. There was one individual that was in my career workshop who was they had particular views on climate change. So it made sense for them not to look for companies that did things in the climate that they were against. So you have to make sure that your own internal compass matches the company you're with. And then taking the language from the mission and vision for that company and using that into your elevator pitch. And that's something you can use ChatGPT with. You drop it the mission and vision of the company, you drop it your elevator pitch, and you ask it to regenerate using the language of that, so that you're using their words, you're using their what they're saying, and you do the same thing with their core values. Any questions on that? Okay, cool. Now for the resume. So who here knows what STAR method is? Once again, you can just use your reactions. You could message. Okay. I'm assuming, Priscilla, you raised your hand to say that you do. So STAR method is something I really recommend when you're writing your resumes. Most of the time, folks when they write their resumes, they only do the task and action, right? It's more of like a task-oriented. I implemented XYZ on this cloud thing. Cool. What was your impact to it? Once again, you can take this into ChatGPT. I'll look for the actual one that I used previously for the workshop. I think it's this one. I'll find it. I'll find it and send it out. I'll look for the one that I used specifically for the workshop. I think it's this one. And what I did was I took my resume, and you don't even have to use the prompts that I'm going to share later, but I took my resume, I took the bullets under that one company, put into ChatGPT, and asked it for examples, 3 to 5 examples of each, and how to write that bullet in STAR method, showing to demonstrate specifics and any qualitative impact. So instead of saying I implemented a cloud ingestment from our GitHub repo, you can say that, but you can say due to, I'm just making things up right now, due to the executive order from the US and its requirements to do XYZ, to avoid being fined XYZ, I created this implementation that reduced customers' outreach for security questionnaires by 5 days, right? It gives you kind of like a full picture of the scenario and things that happened. Now, when you write these, they're going to be a little bit more lengthier than the typical one-line bullet. So what I recommend is for your most recent role, doing about 3 to 5 bullets of stars, and then anything after that, limiting to 1 to 3. All in star formation, showing specifics and measurable qualitative impact. If you need help with this later, feel free to, Carla, we can send you the recording. We'll share with you the recording, and then I will be doing this more often. If this is useful, we'll also send out like feedback to see what was useful, which ways we can make this a little bit better without having me talk the whole time, a little bit more interactive. This was like a 4-hour workshop that I'm trying to shrink into 1.5. So, but definitely we'll do this again. Is there any questions on the STAR method? All right. Usually ask for a volunteer. We go through the resume. We can do that at the end, and then I'll turn off recording. I don't like to record people's resumes or LinkedIn. It does take a lot of space on the resume. It does. There are ways to reduce it. My resume is about 2 pages. And one thing I like to do on my resume is refer and link to other things so that I can keep the page, right? So if I have 12 years of security experience. If I wanted to, I can do the most 2 recent jobs and on there say anything before 2019, see experience on LinkedIn, and then add a LinkedIn link, right? It's going to redirect them to where I want them to go, but giving them enough information that fits the role, and then that way I can keep it into the 2 pages if I wanted to. There's also ways to like tweak it and stuff like that. On the resume, I like links to. Okay, cool. On the resume, I like links to any personal websites, your personal portfolio. So if it's not LinkedIn and you make your own website or your own Medium article, any relative social media. I don't share my Instagram on my resume. If I had an Instagram that was more security based, I would share it. And then any online portfolios. If you do have a summary at the top, I would tailor it to reflect your relevant skills, personality, experiences in the industry, and show them who you are. It should be very similar to, I use my LinkedIn about section, and then I tweak it per resume. So it's like my generic about me, and then my summary in my resume will be tweaked from my LinkedIn. Once again, use the star to rewrite those bullets to show more of that impact. That's one of the biggest things I see in resumes. You're not demonstrating your impact. You're not showing how you improved customers' experience, internals' experience, the company, and what you did great things. I know we all did great things, but being able to qualitatively show it demonstrates your impact. And mentally, as humans, it looks better when there's a bunch of numbers. I don't know why, but people like numbers. I skipped number 3 by accident, but under the experience section, under each row, I like to add a section called skills. Instead of having a huge section that's just a bunch of skills that I have no idea what position they map to, under each of my specific rows on my resume, I will have a skills section that is outside of the bullets, so you can kind of tell that it's part of that block of text. And there I would write my top, let's say 10 skills that I use. And so this is leadership, this is Python, whatever cloud product, whatever technology I use, the top 10 skills that I want to highlight. I know there's going to be more, but those are where you're going to be adding them in the bullets. And you can even repeat them too. Things to include would be sections for volunteer work, highlight any roles or contributions, anything that you participated, whether you're a committee member or a panelist for a conference, or you have some kind of community involvement, even if it's your church or your local jiu-jitsu gym. Trust me, I put that I was a volunteer for kids, and I would mention it so many times, and people always gave me kudos for teaching kids. So don't discourage or don't discredit what you work on. And then you have a section for publications, awards, and things like that. If that becomes too much, once again, you can literally write to see all, here's let's say 3 to 5 publications as it relates to this row that are more recent. To see more publications, click on this link. To see awards that may not fit here, see this link. To see volunteer work, click on this link, and they get redirected to wherever it is you want. I would usually recommend a personal website because you can manage that a little bit easier. And especially if you want to add pictures, like if you have volunteer or community involvement, or you work on a program committee for conferences, I would redirect that to a personal website where you can add pictures of yourself, of being able and in that space and doing it. Quick moment just to see if there's any questions on resume. And I know some of you probably, I talk quite fast. The questions will be flowing, I know, once we go through. And then here I usually ask for a volunteer, but once again, I'll stop the recording and then we can do some examples at the end. So LinkedIn, I personally, hate is such a strong word, but I do not like the word aspiring or incoming. You are or you are not a security professional. A security professional is somebody who is security conscious, right? If you don't feel comfortable saying you're a professional because you don't have a quote unquote professional career, you can write career security mindset or career security conscious. Writing aspiring and incoming already drops you down in your power of showing like, I'm not there yet, but I want to be, which is where you're at. But remember, your profile is showing you at your best. So you are at this role. Add personal interest into that. Your LinkedIn headliner is quote unquote what people identify you as, right? So if you go on LinkedIn and you see everyone's little thing under, just having your job description and the job you work out is just telling people that's your identity, and that's not your identity. Your identity, for this example, is a security analyst. You're a cat mom. You volunteer at Women in Cyber Jiu-Jitsu, and you're a travel enthusiast. What does this do? It helps you connect with other folks that are in the industry. Mine has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in it, and once I turn all this off, I literally have a message from folks that are like, hey, that's so cool. I'm in security. I do jiu-jitsu. Let's connect. All because I have it in my headline and people see that I do this. I'm connecting with folks just because of this one thing. And LinkedIn, you never know. Your network, your net worth is your network. So you never know who they can introduce you with, even if they're not in your field. They might know somebody in your field that is like high and mighty. That's your headline. In your about me, make it more personable, detailed information, highlighting your strengths and experiences. 1 second, I'm getting somebody's at my door.
All good, all good. We'll just sync this in.
I know we're coming at time, so I'm like, just spitballing it all out. Once again, include your GitHub repo, personal websites, online portfolio, all that in LinkedIn. Under your roles, you can attach things. There's so much here. Using the STAR methods that you've rewritten for your resume, I would add that to your LinkedIn. That way it helps the algorithm. Think of how the LinkedIn algorithm is going to work. The more you post that specific term or word, it's going to start connecting you to that specific word and term. If you notice that when I searched on LinkedIn for security engineer, it gave me a bunch of AI positions because now my page is becoming an AI expert. Which it's on YouTube right now for whoever's watching it and whoever's here. I don't feel like an AI expert, but my best self is an AI expert. And then pin things to your features on top. When you write posts, you can pin them so it's most visible. On mine, you'll see that I pin anything that's coming up, and I'll leave anything that's done. But usually the first few are things that are coming up or need to know right away. Ask your friends, your colleagues, your mentors, your supervisors, whoever, to add recommendations to help build credibility, and then make sure that you add those technical skills. The same thing as a resume, you have the skills under. You can now do this for LinkedIn. Online open source communities. Here are just quite a few. And then I pulled out most of these from opensource.com, resources and organizations. They do everything public, and you can figure out which ones you want to join in. OWASP craves the top 10 list. Apache is like a Java-based foundation. OpenSSF does a lot of cybersecurity, open source conversations, from threat modeling to critical services to supply chain security to vulnerability disclosures and so forth. Cloud native is more focused on Kubernetes, Docker, cloud, AWS, Azure kind of things. Rust, Python are based on the language, and then this is just open source initiative is very similar to OpenSSF, which they're focused on doing initiatives for the open source community. My organization is looking for volunteers. We have the data privacy program. We are a good, small, mighty group, but really looking for folks to help us on social media and marketing. And this is just driving engagement for our platform. I don't need you to be an expert. We just need enthusiasm to help kind of drive the impact that we're trying to do. If you are a woman, unfortunately, I do not know of this similar platform for a gentleman. I am assuming you can, or non-binaries and other ways you identify. I am assuming you could create in a profile despite your gender identification. But it helps you create a public profile, and in that public profile, for those that want to be speakers, you can list out your initial talks, and then you can go searching for events, save them, kind of keep track of them, of events that you want to talk in. And they have a lot of tech. They have a bunch of industries in there. That's the registration link. It's about $120 a year. I got my money back right away. But if you are interested and that's too much, let me know. There's usually coupons and promo codes to help reduce that cost. And then once again, these are just links of next steps of where you can get my blogs, see the next events and mailing list, and then where you can get on all the slides. And then that is it for that presentation. Before I turn off recording, are there any questions?
Actually, well, it's not a question, but before we end it, I do want to thank the ATC community as well as our amazing speaker, Yesenia. Yes, aka Yessie. And also thank you everyone for watching as well. And
Yes.
don't forget to hit up Yessie on our socials and even join our Discord community too. So yeah, that's all I had for today. And thank you again, everybody.
Yeah. I'm going to turn off recording. You're welcome to jump off. I know we're already at time. But I'm going to go ahead